Hello everyone and welcome to the Transit Nomad family. In this video we'll be discussing USA versus Europe, unexpected differences and travel prep tips for 2025. Before we get started, I'd like to let you know that I'm currently in Belgium for a couple of weeks, and at the end of my trip I'll be recording my final verdict video comparing Belgium with other countries to help you decide if you should visit, while also saving you lots of time and money with practical tips on how to get the most out of your trip. This will be an exclusive video, but you can easily gain access to it by subscribing or donating any amount on buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. With that being said, let's begin discussing the differences that you might not expect when you travel to Europe. The first thing I would like to mention is the availability of free water. When you are in the USA, and when you go to any restaurant, any establishment, whether it's a fast food chain or a fancier restaurant, you will get free water. You can refill it as many times as you'd like, and you can also refill it. You can ask the waiter to refill it for you. Usually they won't charge you for this. You can also get free water at many of the public water fountains at many different locations in parks or inside cities, many different spots. You can refill your water with no problem. In Europe, that is not the case. In Europe, you have to pay for water, unfortunately, almost everywhere. They don't have as many water fountains. Of course, it depends on the city and the country, but as a general rule, they don't have as many water fountains or water refill stations that are free. And when you go to a fast food or a fancy restaurant, you usually have to pay for that water. Unfortunately, it is not free. Then we should discuss toilets. Toilets is another big difference if you are traveling to Europe from the United States. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to face paying for toilets. Even if you are a customer and you just ate somewhere and you paid for the meal and then you go to use the toilet at that very same place, chances are you might have to pay for that toilet, which is crazy. It's ridiculous, but unfortunately it's part of life in many different European destinations, not everywhere. Again, it is the case here in Belgium in many places. It's also the case in France, in Paris. It's not necessarily the case everywhere. It depends on the location. Also, Italy has policies like this, that you have to pay for toilets. Prices vary. Usually it's around €1, sometimes €2 per person. Sometimes it's a little bit less. In London, it's a lot less. But don't be expecting to use a free toilet everywhere you go. Unfortunately, Europe does not offer this luxury. The next thing that you should not be expecting in Europe is for everyone to speak English. There are a lot of different countries, a lot of different cultures in Europe, and not all of them are English speaking. So in Belgium, for example, they speak French and they speak Flemish, I believe, which is a dialect of Dutch. And a lot of the signs are in those two languages and not in English. So as you can see, we are standing here at this square. If I were to zoom in and show you some of those signs, what does it say? Untrozonerd something, except that's probably exception or something like that. I'm not sure. You can see something that says hotel. It's probably the same word in different languages, but a lot of the things, if you're looking for directions, you're trying to figure out where to go, how to get around, it's not going to be as easy in some locations. Of course, in London, everybody's going to speak English, but it's not necessarily the case in other countries, especially France, Belgium, Italy, and other places, and they're not necessarily going to give you English signs everywhere either. Even though English is an international language, it does not always feel that way in certain locations in Europe. The next thing I would like to point out is the usage of deodorants. So when you are in the United States, most people, not everyone, they will use deodorants, and usually if they sweat, if it's hot, they are not going to smell bad most of the time. Of course, there are a lot of exceptions, but in Europe it's a lot more common, especially in places like Belgium or France, I noticed that when you ride public transportation, trams, buses, or when you are in a museum or in a store and somebody's passing you by, a lot of people, they don't use deodorants at all, and you're gonna smell that, especially when the weather is warmer. And when it's a hot day, man, be prepared for that. It's something that I did not expect. I thought that everyone in Europe is gonna be classy and elegant and dress fancy and smell good, but it is not always the case. I'm not sure what the reasons are. Maybe it's because of some certain cultures, because it is also very international. It's not just in Belgium, it's not just the French and Dutch people living here. We have a bunch of different people here, all kinds of cultures, all kinds of colors. So everyone has a different idea of the deodorant usage. Some people believe that it's not good for you or something like that. And you can definitely feel it around when you are exploring many parts of Europe. The next thing I'd like to mention is the stairs. You can see I'm kind of mentioning a lot of the negatives, but there are also lots of positives that you might not expect. But the stairs is probably, for a lot of people, it's going to be a negative, because in America you would expect ramps to be available everywhere. Doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna have a ramp, so you can use an elevator, or if you have something heavy with you, or if you're disabled, you have a wheelchair, it's kind of easy to deal with it. But when you are in Europe, it's not always the case. A lot of places don't have ramps, and you have to use stairs, including public transportation, including a lot of different buildings. You have to use stairs, and if you have something with you, you have to carry it, no matter how heavy it is. If you are new on my channel, the reason I keep filming these trams is because I explore cities through the lens of public transportation. I love trams, trains, buses, everything that has to do with transit. And I make a lot of videos on this topic, public transportation, along with travel tips with a focus on public transportation. So feel free to subscribe and join me as I explore many different cities in Europe, the United States, and Asia. And the next thing I'd like to mention is actually rather positive, and that is the fact that taxes are included usually. So what you see is what you pay. If you see that something's gonna cost €5, it's gonna be exactly €5, not €5.80 or €5.60 or whatever the amount is. Many different cities in the United States and different states, they charge different amount of taxes, and it's not always easy to calculate it ahead of time. And when I remember I first came to San Diego, California, and I bought something and I thought I was getting ripped off, and I started arguing with the cashier, but it was actually just the tax that was being applied. In Europe, and actually most parts of the world, it's included in the price. So the price you see is the price you pay. But in the United States, for some reason, tax is not included, which makes it harder to calculate what the final cost is going to be. And the next thing I'd like to mention is the architecture, as well as many different fountains, as you can see right in front of us, and sculptures and things like that. Europe has a lot of different styles of buildings: Baroque style, Gothic style, classical style, medieval style, all kinds of styles, and it's very, very, very diverse and very fun to explore. Lots of different streets. Every building is different and unique, and it has like its own soul and history. Many of them are hundreds years old. Some of them are thousands of years old, and we can see one of them right here in the distance. This is just a small tiny little example, but you see all kinds of different buildings, especially if you look at my other videos. The architecture in Europe is amazing. It's a good thing, but it's not something you might be expecting in the United States, especially in places like California. For the most part, 99% of it, there is no architecture whatsoever. It's just whatever, like one-story, two-story building that looks like whatever, just the most basic thing, build it up and let people live there or do business there. In Europe, everything looks a lot nicer, a lot more special, a lot more unique, and it's a lot more fun to explore it. The next thing I'd like to mention is good public transportation. As I was standing at that intersection back there, you may have noticed so many trams passing by every minute or 2 minutes. Europe has very good public transportation and very good infrastructure for people who use public transportation. The frequencies are usually very convenient. You don't have to wait for too long to board a bus or board a tram and get where you need to go without having to drive. This is something that is not expected in America. Also, in America, a lot of people afraid to use public transportation because of weird characters and homeless people using it, and it smells bad. It doesn't feel as safe or comfortable. In Europe, everybody uses public transportation, including people who make a lot of money. They just find it more convenient to ride a bus or ride a train and take care of some business, work on their laptop, work on their phones, communicate, read a book, do whatever they need to do as they are riding public transportation, as opposed to driving and stressing out, worrying about parking, worrying about traffic, worrying about insurance, and spoiling our environment and doing all that kind of stuff, just taking up a lot of space, because the United States has a lot of empty space. Europe is usually in Europe, people are a lot more aware of the space, and they try to use it with maximum efficiency, and public transportation is definitely a good way to do that. And it's also very convenient, and it's very affordable, and it's environmentally friendly, so it's a win-win for everyone. You can be productive and do something as you ride that train, so I love it, and this is definitely going to be a huge plus in Europe. And if you expect to drive, I think Europe might not be the best destination for you, because driving here is not very convenient, it's more expensive, and it's just not something that a lot of people do here. Pedestrians definitely are a priority. And that brings me to the next point. In Europe, it's very easy to walk. Everywhere you go, you will see people walking. It's totally normal. It's what everybody does around here. You don't feel weird like being the only person walking outside like you do in California. Oftentimes there is no sidewalk, there is no crossing. You just see all these cars, huge streets, very wide streets, and all these cars passing you by, and you are the only one walking in the sun. There is no shade, there is no place to sit, and you feel like, wow, what's wrong with me? That doesn't feel right. Well, guess what? In Europe, everybody is walking, and if you are driving, actually people might look at you if you are in a pedestrian friendly area like in the square and you are driving, and people might look at you like you are annoying them. And so if you want to walk from place A to place B, you want to go to the grocery store by walking, you want to explore cities by walking, anything you want to do, you can do it by walking. There are sidewalks everywhere, and usually drivers stop for pedestrians. It's very convenient. The infrastructure is very easy to use. The next thing I would like to mention is biking. You can definitely use your bicycle, or you can rent a bicycle. They have bicycles basically everywhere, and it's very easy to use it because they have bike lanes in many different places. They have bike shops, they have bike infrastructure, they have bike bridges, bike ramps, everything for bicycles. And in some places you can see like hundreds of bicycles going in all directions at the same time. It's very popular in Europe, and it's definitely not something that we expect in the United States. Many drivers in the United States, they actually get angry at bicycles, or people who are riding bicycles, they feel scared of cars because they are passing by so close and so fast, and it's very uncomfortable to ride a bike in many places in America, unless you go to like a park where there are no cars or something like that. And the last thing I want to mention, which some people might think it's a negative, some people might think it's a positive, but it's definitely easy to drink alcohol and smoke almost everywhere in Europe. It's allowed in public places, including parks. I can start smoking a cigarette right now if I wanted to. I don't smoke, but I'm just saying I could. Some people might think it's a negative, others might think it's a positive, but you can definitely do whatever you want in terms of smoking and drinking. You don't have to do it only at a bar, in the bar, or you have to look for a place where you can smoke. Like if you are a smoker in California, it's terrible because You can't smoke here, you can't smoke there. You always have to watch out. People are gonna look at you in a strange way. You have to watch out for police officers giving you a fine. It's not as comfortable for a smoker to be in California, but guess what? If you are a non-smoker and you are in Europe, you might get annoyed because people might be smoking anywhere and everywhere. With that being said, I want to point out that as an active traveler and business owner with experience, I might be able to assist you with trip planning, life coaching, and business consulting, with all the details available at buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. This is where you can also find lots of exclusive content on many different cities around the world, my secret tips, PDF guides, and the option to request a custom video on any topic that matters to you. Thank you everyone for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. I appreciate you being a part of the Transit Nomad family and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.